Max Adams, and I'm not a dancer. Instead, I get to make videos, which means this. Howdy doody, everybody. Today, I'm going to show you joy spending your time with. The obvious answer was love.
My name is Maxwell Adams, and I am the current media team director and CTO at Studio T Arts and Entertainment. And I started in this position when I was 18, which was 2019, and I've been here ever since that point. So it's been a while, but it's been a growth process of starting with a couple of my friends and just making stuff happen until now we're at the point where I have multiple people that look up to me that I have to manage, and I have to make sure that they're on the right track in terms of their growth and their process. It's just been an experience to go from using my mom's camera to using professional grade cinema cameras and making sure that other people, whether they're high schoolers, middle schoolers, or college students, or even some people that have been older than me that are wanting to get into the field, that I've been able to kind of shepherd them and help them grow through their process. That's kind of what the media team is all about, is taking somebody and putting them onto the next level. Before Studio T, I was definitely trying to figure myself out, figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do with my life. It was kind of like popular culture when I was in high school to just say oh, I'm depressed, oh, I want to kill myself. And I think it still kind of is, KMS, let me just die real quick, you know what I mean? And that's what high schoolers are saying all the time, but I don't think they realize how actually tragic it is if you were to do that. I was kind of one of those people where I would say that kind of stuff, or oh, I have depression, but I was kind of joking, but at the same time I was I kind of feel like I might actually be depressed because I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I don't know where I'm gonna go, and I don't feel confident that, I can do what I actually dream of doing or what I want to do, or that I'm even able to do it or figure it out and just do it myself. I wanted to be a screenwriter, but I really couldn't fathom myself actually doing that and actually taking the steps to do that. So mentally, I was kind of I didn't know where to go or what to do. I always just felt I gotta stay in what would be reasonable and according to the standards that I really set for myself, which is not taking a huge risk like that and saying okay, let me apply for a college where my major would be comedic writing. That's what I wanted to do, but I was so scared of the feedback that I would get or the negative backlash that I would receive from doing something like that, that I just was this is what I want to do, but I'm not going to do that until maybe some years down the future. And that kind of just put me in a position where I wasn't sure what to do. I found out about Studio T through one of the first friends I met at ARC. His name was Nakana, and he introduced me to Sean, which was also one of my best friends. And then while we were playing games together, they would always be telling me about oh, Miss T said this, oh, are you gonna go to this thing this weekend? Oh yeah, we gotta go shoot this thing. And then Sean would always be telling me about how Max, you don't understand, it was an 8-hour day. It was supposed to be me and Nakana, but then Nakana, he ended up dancing for 4 hours. So then it was really just me trying to man 2 cameras and go back and forth, because Miss T also had a camera. But I think it was a New Year's Eve party that I was having at my house. I think Sean had brought his camera, he wanted to take photos. And so I brought my mom's camera out of the closet, and they're whoa, wait, this is a better camera. Oh, you have this camera? And so I never had to ask them to join. I really should have, because when they were talking to me, that's really what I wanted to do. But I was so, I don't know, oppressed or nervous about actually asking them if I could just join them, that I never said anything. I was just oh, that's a cool experience that you guys are having. But it was on that New Year's Eve party where they found out that my mom had a camera and that I knew how to use it. And so then they invited me in the next week to go film something with Miss T. And it was from the first time that I met Miss T, she was just this kid is different. There's something different about this kid. You gotta bring him around the next time, keep bringing him around. So she just knew by, I don't know, I would say the Holy Spirit, that there was something different about me and that she needed to keep me around. Miss T fills a lot of roles in my life. On one level, she's my mom. On one level, she's my boss. On another level, she's my spiritual guide. I would say overall, she's definitely a mentor. She genuinely cares about my success and about what I'm doing, and about if I feel confident, if I feel upset, if I feel disturbed, or anything like that. She's very invested in me as a person, and as a result, it's easy for me to put her in all these other roles and say okay, let me write a birthday card to her, or let me write a thank you card to her as a boss, a birthday card as my mom, or give her a card and some flowers on Mother's Day. That's easy for me to do because she fills the role of a mother who is actually so invested in this person's life that they're able to continually invest and keep saying like, okay, no, like, I know like I just spent like $7,000 on this kid, but let me spend like another $7,000. With Miss T is like, when you're able to pour into another person the way that she's poured into you, that's how you know that the teachings are taking hold in your life. When you're able to say something encouraging to another person, or like for me, it's like I would call her, I would say something and I would recognize what, you know, the Lord has done or what the Holy Spirit said through me, and I would call her and I'd say like, Miss T, like this just happened, like I just did this. And that's really like the best way that I know how to express like what I've learned from Miss T. But ultimately, I think a lot of it is the confidence, the selflessness, and the building of other people. The more that I do that, the more I recognize that like Miss T has had an influence on my life, and being put in those situations where I'm allowed to do something like that is where I can see that like, oh yeah, she has influenced me and I'm living it out every day of my life. When you can see yourself investing into another person, like you can see that like, oh, like I learned that from Miss T, or I learned that from somebody Miss T connected me with, and now I'm giving it to somebody else.
Miss T tasked you with writing down your dreams and goals, and that proved to be difficult.
Yeah.
Why was that difficult?
Well, I think that was like a critical time in my life where I started to recognize that I could write down my dreams and goals and be comfortable with that. I sat there for 2 hours and didn't write anything down on paper just because I was thinking like, I don't even know what I can write down. Like I knew there was some things, and what she had me do too was once I couldn't, like she saw that I wasn't figuring it out, she was like, okay, how about you write down all the things that you're already good at? And so starting with that, it helped me see that like, okay, I do provide value, I am a valuable person, and like my goals are worth validating even if it's writing it down on a piece of paper. I measure how I use my words, so to write something on a piece of paper is like even more finite than something that you say out loud. And I was like, I don't want to write anything down on this paper that I don't think is like a goal, or that I don't think that I want to achieve, or that's like something real. But I think it was also a moment of like, am I sure that I can even write this down? Like, can I even put this on paper? Like, that my goal is to be a comedic writer, that my goal is to work with these names in the industry, that my goal is to, you know, have this production company. But it's also a matter of like, if you don't have goals, it's hard to come up with a list of goals. And so it's like starting out, like I don't think I really had a lot of like goals or plans for my life. Once you start writing down your goals on a piece of paper, you start realizing like, oh, like I want to work with this person. Oh, but what about this person? Oh, and this person, this person, this person. Then now you have like 5 people, whereas before you were only thinking about 1. The practice of writing down your goals unlocks more goals for you to write down. And then like the more that you come back to it, the more you realize like, oh wait, these goals are really small. But it's like a monument to my accomplishment of like, I can set goals and then achieve them. When you achieve it, you're gonna have to think of something even bigger. I would say the legacy that I want to leave is like in line with what Miss T brings as a community builder, but I believe that it's possible to do that on a larger scale through film and media production. Christopher Nolan is probably my biggest inspiration in the film and Hollywood industry, because he's able to reach so many people and have like such a huge message for those people. And so I'm thinking like, if I can be on the level of Christopher Nolan, then I can make a message in my movie that people identify with, that shows them that you don't have to be, you know, a depressed person. The goal is to leave behind a legacy that says there is hope, there is a future for you specifically, and nobody can shake you from who you are and what your unique identity is. Being able to build that on a larger scale and then push it out through film and media, and not saying like, oh, I'm pushing this agenda, but just saying like, that's like a genuine inflection that a viewer would have after watching the movie, and just saying like, wow, like I really can do anything. Like I really, like what I was thinking of my life is so small, and I'm inspired to do more because of what I've seen today. That's the legacy that I want to leave behind, is people want to say like, you know, like that Max Adams, like his movies, like they made you like feel something of like, you have an impact in this world, and you can really make a difference. My advice to somebody who understands me and understands the struggle that I was going through, I didn't know what I wanted to do really until I was doing it. I had an idea of what I could do or what I could be, and I said, I want to get there eventually, but I didn't want to be a director until I was making videos. I didn't want to be, a writer until I started writing comedic things in my homework assignments. You find out where you're supposed to go by doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it sounds like it doesn't make sense or that you can't follow along or anything like that, but it's really the truth of the matter is that you probably know what you want to do. So my advice to you is to just try it. Just do something, take a step, even if it's as small as writing something funny in a report that you're turning in the opening paragraph. As long as you get the report in, and as long as the teacher understands that you're doing this because you're expressing yourself and this is the way that you write and you're not trying to make fun of anybody else and you're not trying to put anything down, I have a feeling like you already know what you want to do, you're just not sure that you can do it. And my advice to you is that you can do it, and you just have to start, and it'll grow. It'll grow inside of you, you'll figure it out, you'll understand where to take it, what comes next, and all that kind of stuff, but you just have to start today. So if you're watching this, start today, do something, and then you'll see it grow.